Hi everyone, welcome to my channel International Storyteller. In this channel you will find true horror stories worldwide. These stories are for entertainment purposes only. In this video, I will tell you the scary story of the Mexican ghost bus. Mexico is a country located in the southern part of North America. Today, the highway between the city of Toluca and the town of Ixtapan de la Sal in Mexico is very good. So when traveling through this highway, it took less time and made the journey quick and easy. However, many years ago, before this highway existed, vehicles traveling between the city of Toluca and the town of Ixtapan de la Sal in Mexico were forced to travel along a dangerous and narrow mountain road. On one side of the narrow mountain road, there was steep vertical rock, and on the other side, there was a steep slope. This is the real story that happened many years ago. One evening, a bus departed from the town of Ixtapan de la Sal to the city of Toluca as usual, making the familiar journey through the narrow mountain road. It was an overnight trip, so the passengers on the bus took the opportunity to get some sleep while the bus was passing through the mountain road. Without any problems, the bus started to climb up the slope of the mountain slowly. The passengers were not scared of this narrow mountain road because they had already traveled through it many times. The passengers noticed nothing out of the ordinary, even when the bus reached the top of the mountain. When the bus traveled through the road on the highest point of the mountain, suddenly it began to rain heavily. So the driver faces difficulty while driving through the dangerous curves as the road descends. Earlier, many fatal accidents had occurred on that descending part of the mountain road. The bus began its descent, and the mountain road was slick and wet from the heavy rain. Suddenly the passengers began to wake up from their sleep as they realized that the bus was speeding up in the heavy rain. The passengers thought this was unusual. So the passenger called out to the driver. At first, the driver didn't say anything. At the same time, the bus got faster and faster, and the passenger became more and more frightened. Suddenly, the driver cried loudly that the brakes on the bus were failing. The bus was traveling at such a high speed that it was impossible for the driver to control the bus. In the short moment, the bus reached a curve, and the driver skidded off the cliff and fell into the vertical slope of the mountain. The bus fell down the rocky slope and collapsed into the big, spiky rocks below. Many of the passengers inside the bus were killed instantly in the crash. Other passengers lay unconscious and bleeding in the wreckage of the bus. Then, the bus caught fire, and within a few minutes, it exploded, killing all the surviving passengers. So, nobody heard the painful cries of the surviving passengers, and they all died in the most dreadful and horrible way imaginable. Later that night, the police came to the crash site and called the ambulance. Unfortunately, it was too late and of no use. Not a single passenger survived that accident. The dead bodies of some passengers lay above the sharp, spiky rocks. The bodies of others lay burning inside the smoking wreckage of the bus. Ever since the accident happened, many people have reported seeing the old bus traveling late at night on the road from the town of Ixtapan de la Sal to the city of Toluca. They thought it was just a regular old bus traveling at night. But those passengers sitting inside the old bus were actually the spirits of the passengers who died in that horrible accident. There were a few stories about people who encountered this ghost bus. Recently, there was a real incident about a guy from Mexico who actually met with this ghost bus. He was waiting for a bus to travel to the city of Toluca. It was a late night, and he couldn't find any regular buses on the road. At last, he saw an old bus passing on the road. He held out his hand to stop the bus. The bus came to a stop near him, and the doors opened as he approached. The guy noticed that the bus was old but still in good condition. The bus seems to be full of passengers, except there is only one empty seat. He sat down in that empty seat but felt a strange emptiness inside the bus. He realizes that something is very wrong. It was late at night, and passengers are supposed to be sleeping at that hour, but no one on the bus is sleeping. All of the men, women, and children inside the bus are wide awake, sitting straight, and staring forward. Nobody is saying a word, and there is a heavy silence. A few minutes later, the bus conductor started walking to collect the bus tickets. The guy prepares the money to pay for his ticket, but the conductor totally ignores him and passes by. After midnight, the bus arrived near the city of Toluca. The driver stops the bus before reaching the bus terminal. Then the driver turns his head and tells the guy that he has to get off now. But the journey is not finished, and he doesn't understand why the bus driver told him to get off the bus while everyone else stays seated and silent. He was a little bit surprised but obeyed what the bus driver told him. He doesn't want to argue with the bus driver, as the bus felt very strange to him. He got up and tried to get out of the bus. As he passes by the driver, he attempts to pay for his ticket. But the driver waves away his money. The driver said, "There is no charge for you. Go now and don't look back, or you will never leave this bus." The guy obeyed what the driver said and never looked back, and got out of the bus. After that, the door closed, and the bus engine started up and continued driving on the road. Later, the story of this man encountering the strange old bus late at night began to spread throughout Mexico. People believed that the strange old bus was actually the ghost bus, and the guy survived only because he obeyed what the bus driver said to him. Because if someone disobeys the bus driver and turns around and looks back, he or she will see that the bus is really a burning wreck. The scariest part is that inside the bus, the person will see skeleton figures instead of passengers. Those scary skeletons were sitting inside the bus and were staring silently through the windows. At that moment, the bus door will close, and he or she will be stuck inside the ghost bus. Then the ghost bus will disappear, and those who got stuck inside the bus will eventually die. And a few days later, the dead body of that person will be found laying at the site where the bus actually crashed many years ago.